Welcome to the City of Brantford Virtual Public Information Center to define the utility access road between Glenwood Drive and Peartree Court, being undertaken as an environmental assessment. Your comments are encouraged and appreciated. This will provide an opportunity to address project issues and concerns that are presented here within the presentation. My name is Rob Amos, and I work for Aquatic Beach Limited, an engineering consulting firm retained by the city to help complete this EA study. The area of focus is located between Glenwood Drive and Peartree Court, extending over a series of storm sewers and sanitary sewers that are buried within the natural environment. They were constructed in the 1960s and 1970s and have since overgrown. The purpose of this study is to identify the sanitary and storm sewers within the valley setting, noting that they are valuable assets owned by the City of Brantford. This network in particular extends through a natural environment which is overgrown since construction. This ingrowth limits opportunities for the city to undertake regular maintenance, inspections, or emergency repairs if required on this infrastructure. The purpose of the study is to identify constraints on access, as well as potential risks, and ultimately provide a formal access to the city's sewer infrastructure. The purpose of this virtual PIC is designed to present such information on the existing conditions, to also then present the alternative access options, to formalize such access for city maintenance and repair requirements, and then also to present the study process and timelines associated with the EA, which will then be followed up with detailed engineering design and then construction. Through this virtual PIC, we look to gain community input on the existing conditions and information, gain an understanding of how you may see specific opportunities and constraints of this study, any input that you may be able to provide with regards to the evaluation criteria and the scoring of the alternatives as they are presented, and then also gain input on the preferred solution which will come out of this study and move forward to design. As part of the municipal class environmental assessment process, this study follows the Schedule B definition, which includes a Phase 1 and Phase 2 approach. Phase 1 being identification of problems and an initial point of public consultation, which has been completed as part of the notice of commencement, and Phase 2 to define the alternate solutions. The study at present has undertaken the inventories required to gain that technical understanding of the existing conditions, both from a physical, natural, public, and social economic standpoint. And we've undertaken an initial evaluation of what the to define the preferred alternative. We are here today to then present such information to you, after which we will look to move forward with the preferred solution. To gain a little insight into the existing conditions, a photo compilation is presented with this slide starting at the upper limit near Glenwood Drive, extending within the city corridor over top of the infrastructure, adjacent to the St. Peter School parking lot, and then down into that valley, as we see with photo B. Photos C and D present an area where previous emergency repair has been required due to erosion of the tributary exposing the sanitary sewer. Photos E, F, G, and H further present the existing conditions along the length of the study area, including an existing CSP culvert crossing, the dense vegetation as noted, which is currently limiting access to the buried infrastructure, and then at the downstream limit towards Peartree Court, we see that the infrastructure extends through private properties with more maintained grasses. The city easement over top of the sanitary sewer infrastructure is 15 meters wide, intended to provide access and opportunities for maintenance as required. The sanitary sewer was constructed in 1962, and the storm sewers followed in 1974. There are 8 sanitary sewer manholes that require access, followed by inspection, and 2 storm sewer manholes. As noted, these utilities require regular inspection, maintenance, as well as emergency flushing in order to maintain them in good repair. A stable access road that can be used by vehicles ranging from pickup trucks to flusher trucks, as shown in the photograph on the lower right, is required to perform such maintenance. The terrestrial ecology of the study area has been defined through an ecological land classification practice, which is a standardized assessment intended to identify the vegetation communities within the landscape. 4 vegetation communities were identified. Of particular interest are oaks, or dry white oaks, some of which are suggested to be greater than 100 years old within the study area. The mapping of these ELC communities is presented on this slide, including areas of naturalized coniferous plantation, fresh moist willow lowland deciduous forest, the dry white oak woodland, and then also the dry fresh black walnut deciduous woodland. We also note just the anthropogenic areas that have previously been impacted, or the urbanized areas at either end at Glenwood and Peartree courts. This slide also presents a butternut tree which was identified beyond the limits of our study area. A butternut is considered to be a rare and endangered tree species, which requires a safe buffer of 50 meters around such a tree to limit any risk of impacts or negative effects during construction. The vascular plants were identified within the study area, including 55 different native species and 34 distinct introduced or invasive species. There are both species at risk, specifically the butternut, as well as provincially rare species within the valley setting. An arborist inventory was also identified to note the exact location of mature trees greater than 10 centimeters diameter along the length of the study area. The specific locations of these trees will be used to refine the design, to limit any unnecessary removals or impacts to key tree species, and may also be used as part of the evaluation to understand the impacts associated with each of the alternate routes. The aquatic ecology within the study area is somewhat minimal as the drainage features along the length of the study area are primarily supported through storm sewer outfalls, with one crossing with an existing CSP that will be required within the lower half of the study area. As part of the municipal class environmental assessment process, an evaluation is applied to each of the alternatives, accounting for technical and engineering criteria, the physical and natural environment, social and cultural criteria, and economical criteria. These distinct criteria will be applied to 4 different alternatives that are considered that may provide access to the existing along the length of the study area. In order to rank each alternative, a score ranging from 0 being no or a negative impact, through to 4 being an ideal or the most positive impact has been applied. The next slides represent the 4 different alternatives that have been considered. The first alternative is the do-nothing approach. This alternative includes the city maintaining, at best, foot access along the length of the valley. However, there is limited opportunity to undertake any formal or required maintenance, or should it be required, emergency repairs along the length of the study area. The second alternative includes an access road, which would start at the upper end of Glenwood Drive and would extend along the St. Peter's School parking lot through the valley, and then have a turnaround within the lower the lower half of the study area. It would include 2 crossings of the drainage features, and then within the lower portion, extending up from Peartree, temporary wood mats would be laid down on an as-needed basis to provide access to the manholes which extend off of the 9 and 13 Peartree Court properties. Alternative 3 includes an access road from Glenwood Drive with a turnaround at the limit of the private properties off of Peartree Court. We note that the turnaround is likely not sufficient for turning around of the larger maintenance vehicles that may be required. Smaller pickup trucks would be able to turn around, flusher trucks may not. Alternative 4 includes an access road that then extends from Glenwood Drive through the valley and continues on through Peartree Court. The access road along the private properties of Peartree Court and alongside of St. Peter's School would be composed of a vegetated concrete block mat to stabilize the ground while still maintain the presence of vegetation, with a rock reinforcement within the midsection. An evaluation of alternatives 1, 2, 3, and 4 has been provided. As noted, a score of 0 through 4 has been applied to each of the criteria, including technical engineering, physical and natural, social, cultural, and economic criteria. The sum of those scores is then presented as an average for each of the 4 criteria with an upset score or a maximum score of 10, a maximum total score of 10. We see that the do-nothing alternative does not meet the technical or engineering criteria or the targets defined for this study with scores of 0. We see that alternatives 2, 3, and 4 do provide positive technical results. The physical and natural criteria, when applied, are scored ranging from 1 through to 4, as they have varying impacts, with the do-nothing alternative being the most positive, and alternative 3 being the most impactful on the physical and natural criteria. Social and cultural, in terms of the impact on landowners, property intrusions, and aesthetic values. Alternative 3 what received the highest scoring. And with the economic criteria, once again, alternative 3 was the highest scored or preferred option. Looking at the sum of the averages for each criteria, or the weighted averages, alternative 3 is defined as the preliminary preferred alternative. As we move forward through this EA study, we look forward to receiving feedback on this virtual PIC and the information presented. Information may be sent through the comment form posted on the city's website at brantford.ca/utility access PIC, or alternatively, email, mail, or phone calls may be provided to Mr. Jim Young, the manager of water distribution and wastewater collection, with the contact information noted below, or myself, Rob Amos, the project manager from the consulting side. We will look to receive your feedback on this virtual PIC up until June 25th. However, feedback is accepted throughout the course of the study. After June 25th, all feedback will be formally compiled and reviewed, at which point we will confirm or adapt the preliminary preferred alternative, which is defined as alternative number 3. Following this, we will submit the EA project file and then obtain agency approvals within fall of 2021. With the closure of this study being posted for a 30-day public review. Detailed design will then follow alongside of implementation. Detailed design will occur within the latter portion of 2021, and construction and implementation scheduled for summer and fall of 2022. I thank you for joining us within this virtual public information center and look forward to receiving any feedback or comments you may have.